Okay, so I want to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Stormwater Management Board. It's Wednesday, January, I wish it were July, January the 11th. For me. I'd like to, for it to be reflected that all four board members are present. I'd like to add one thing to the agenda, and that is an election of officers for 2023. Is it? It is on it. Okay, it wasn't on the email. Okay, good. Excellent. So, and with that, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Lee Jones as the returning president of the Stormwater Board. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. You don't need to make a speech, right?
I hope not.
Okay, like to call for a vote then. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, I turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you.
And is there a vice president, I believe?
Pardon?
Is there a vice president?
Oh.
Yes, I think it's because.
Oh, is
I
there,
think.
I don't.
I think there's a vice president in the absence of the president.
We typically do.
Okay,
I'd like to nominate Julie Thomas for vice president.
Second.
I guess it's me now. All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
I mean. And now we'll move on to public input for items not on the agenda.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tammy Whitewell Cassidy, and I'm a resident of Monroe County in the Clear Creek Valley area. And as I have mentioned on a couple other occasions, there are neighbors of us that do have some problems down there with flash flooding from time to time. And I wanted to add a few comments to some comments I made at the drainage boards last week and at the commissioners meeting this morning. And kind of in response a little bit to what our floodplain administrator was saying this morning. And kind of just, this is going to be a little all over the place. My first comment really is just, I think it would be a really good idea to have that stormwater administrator as part of the drainage board, or at least sitting out on the drainage board and the stormwater meetings. I think that, you know, there needs to be a little bit more like cohesiveness and in what's going on, you know, with that aspect of it. I also wanted to bring to your attention a couple areas that are being blocked south of Clear Creek. And I have some photographs I'm just going to give to you and you guys can share them. But basically there is an abandoned trestle bridge down there. It has an abutment where the trestle went across. It's probably 40 to 60 feet wide. On one side, it's like 12 feet high. On the other side, it's 20 to 30 feet high. It's really huge. It's like a levee. Then there's another culvert. It's like there are two pipes that run underneath it. It sits in the creek about 2 to 3 feet high, and it's about 24 feet square. And it literally sits right in the middle of the creek. And it has fences on both sides of it that are chain link. And the chain link fence has actually been caught up in the creek and torn down on parts of it. So these are just really solid examples of things that I think we could have some kind of a project to clean that up and help the water flow to the south of us, because as you all know, it backs up into the area. Another item was Tammy mentioned that there are 107 FEMA insured properties due to flooding in Monroe County. And I think a better look at that would be the actual properties that are both in the floodway and the floodplain that would be affected if they had damage, or as FEMA states in one of their publications, they encourage you, if you're in the floodway, even if you haven't had flooding damage, to make improvements to your property, like getting your furnace out from under your crawl space or your ducts, or you may be familiar with the homes down there all built between the 1890s and 1930. So we need new foundations and basements and things like that. Also, this is a real common issue for vehicles in the area. Whenever this flash flooding occurs, we have, around 6,000 pieces of traffic a day that come on or past the intersection of that road and South Roger Street. It affects a lot of people. It's not just the specific structures and homes in the area. And I think that, you know, cleaning some of this up would be an amazing positive for all of us in our community, because I think we all want clean water. We all need clean water. We need it for ourselves and our future generations. And it's just a real mess. I mean, you can't believe walking on the creek, you know, there's tennis shoes and, as I said earlier, dishwashers, just all kinds of stuff. And just if we could put together a better community effort to clean some of this up. So I appreciate your time today, and I'll just give these to you and you guys can pass it.
I have a question for you. The culverts that are in the creek, are they horizontal to the flow or vertical to the flow?
So they run with the flow.
Okay.
But it kind of appears like maybe the creek used to flow in them. And, you know, the creek has kind of gotten bigger over the years. And so the creek will teach itself to run around it. And so it's running around it on both sides. So it sticks right up out.
Do you know if
the
they're blocked?
Yeah. They're about half blocked underwater. There's a pretty good photograph of that
Yeah.
structure there. I have some more photos, but my printer was kind of like not very cooperative. It took me about 5 minutes per picture, but I'd be happy to share those with you. There's also south of where the trestle went across, there's a culvert. It's about halfway underground. It's made out of concrete. So it's really, really old. I have no idea where it goes to. It's south of to the gym and the I can't remember the name of that new business there, the cleanup business that does like stormwater cleanup, ironically. But you know, fire damage and things like that. So it's right in that area. So I'm not really sure who put it there when, but it's probably railroad related. We had a lot of right out of Clear Creek on the east side of the road, where the road does a dog leg. The tracks came down through there and they headed directly, almost a 90-degree turn to the west of town. So the trestle abutment was that particular trestle that I remember that one as a kid. So anyway, any other questions or anything? Okay,
Any other questions?
right. Thank you.
I would say that typically our stormwater director is at these meetings. It's very unusual that she's not here today. This is
Yeah,
the first time I've been to
She's
one.
actually out ill. So bear with me on trying to run this meeting that I haven't done for many years. But I mean, I wouldn't mind getting with Tamby. I don't know if you've officially made work requests on these locations. That we have a process in our department that we investigate every single request that comes into us that has a concern. We send the proper personnel out there to see if there's a scope of work that can be completed by one of our crews. It could be stormwater, it could be a bridge crew, not necessarily stormwater crew. So if we know these locations, then we can get it physically into our system.
I just had an additional comment. We did meet at the drainage board earlier this month to discuss this. Kelsey Vitonia, our MS4 coordinator, was there to help coordinate the meeting. Tammy from planning, she is the flood, or if you want to do construction in a floodway, so she's our floodway administrator. She was there as well. She attended virtually. Actually, we do have a pretty good presence at the drainage board from planning. She just took over the role of the floodplain administrator, and I think is doing a terrific job of addressing things. At your meeting earlier today, she talked about amending some of the ordinance from planning to kind of coincide with the state. So again, it just reflects the work that she's taking upon herself to really kind of address a lot of different concerns. One thing I kind of said at the drainage board meeting is that this is a very interesting issue because it involves a number of different entities as far as how county conducts business. And just like Miss Ridge was saying, there's a right of way issue, there's a stormwater issue, there's a drainage issue. So this does seem like something we should kind of look at and consider a path forward. I also made the comment that, this is in the area where there's the annexation occurring. So that is, I think, notable to understand that could potentially be outside of the county's jurisdiction, but I don't want to go too far in that conversation. But I think if we address it incrementally and kind of have a strategy ready to execute, and if it looks like it's going to take, a lot of effort on the county's behalf to address this, maybe we could have a plan in place where we could just move forward once we know that this is going to stay in the county's jurisdiction. And if not, maybe we could pass that document along to the city so they have a way to execute and help address these issues as well. So that was kind of my comments at the Drainage Board, and I was just wanting to kind of echo those here today. So it's a very complicated situation with a lot of nuances built into it. So thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is approval of the minutes for December 14th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
I move approval of the minutes from December 14th, 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any corrections or questions? Then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I would also like to comment that I have a big pile of minutes that were from during COVID when I was chair of this committee that I have signed and I forgot to bring back today. I'll try to put them in your, or in the stormwater mailbox tomorrow. So, okay.
Well, I guess you'd probably want to put those in the surveyor's mailbox. Donna Barbrick, she's our part-time
okay.
office manager, and she's the secretary that does the minutes. So
Yeah,
we can coordinate with stormwater, make sure they get what they need, and then I think that would be the best course.
okay.
Okay.
I'll do that. And the next order of business is the HNTB on-call contract for professional services.
Move approval of the master task order prime agreement for professional services. Second.
And is there any comment?
This is the first time I've gotten a chance to look at this. Could you walk us through it?
Yeah,
Ridge?
it's kind of some of the, like the other agreements that we bring to the board or to the commissioners on behalf of Highway or Cume Bridge. It's just asking to have a kind of an on-call agreement with a consultant services. If we run across a project for additional plan review tasks, it will just be as needed. And we have a few of these in the county at this time, and it's just basically something that we can reach out to for that additional assistance if it's needed. I know Kelsey relies on our county engineer as much as possible, but sometimes there's things out of his realm that we need to reach out for additional engineering services.
Just one question. So we have two of these, I guess, service providers on retainer more or less. And that would be Christopher Burke. And now we're looking at entertaining them as someone else to have as a retainer. So does that mean Terry Quillman is officially
Terry is
retired?
Required. He is retired.
He finally got there.
He
Great.
finally got there. So, and it's just always good to have more than one
Mhm.
engineering services available to us, just depending, there's a lot of work out there, depends on that consultant's workload. But yeah, Terry is officially retired.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea to have options available. I did look this company up on the internet, and they're quite large, and they're increasing their presence in the state of Indiana quite significantly. So seems pretty straightforward from my point of view.
Thank you. Any further comments? Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all in favor of the HNTB on-call contract for professional services, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And our next order of business is Baby Creek Amendments 3 and 4 for redesign of structures 1345 and 1355, plus acquisition of additional right-of-way. And this is also for a vote. Do I have a motion for this?
I move approval of Baby Creek Amendments 3 and 4 for the redesign of structures 1345 and 1355, plus the acquisition of additional right of way. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 I'm sorry, I kind of skipped.
Discussion?
Yes.
Comment?
Are there any comments from the board?
The only comment I had was looking at is when they said a detailed design, it'd be interesting just to kind of see that design, that detailed design. I'm just one of those people that are kind of curious. But that's the only comment. When it's completed, obviously, this is meant to address the cost to going into that detailed design. That's all I have. And then I guess, are we supposed to ask for public comment?
Yeah,
Okay, just wanted to.
didn't quite get there yet. I got things out of order. Is there any further comment?
Yeah, there, I just caught this and I'm sorry. On the work breakdown, it lists this as Baby Creek structure 1349 and 1355. Whereas on our agenda, it lists it as 1345 instead of 1349. If you look at page 19 of our packet. So do we know which one it's supposed to be? Do we need to amend the?
Oh, I
Okay.
see what you're saying. In the amendment, it's 1349 and on the front of our agenda, it says that I would go with our contract. I'm thinking it's just a typo
It's a
on the front of our
Right,
agenda,
it's a Scrivener.
that it
Yeah.
would be structure 1349 and 1355.
Okay. I
I
wish
think
to,
you can just note that when we call for a vote, because that's the Scrivener's error. I don't think that's, yeah. My opinion.
All right, is there any further board comment? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, maybe we should vote again. All in favor, please say aye.
I,
Motion carries. Thank you. And item C is also an item for a vote. Do I have a motion for it?
I'll motion item C 2023 MOU with Monroe County SWCD for Stormwater Grant Program.
second.
Thank you. Is there any board comment on this item?
Just hoping that, oh, I see Martha's here, that she's
Oh.
able to give us a short report.
I guess my question would be for staff is it looks like, as far as my memory goes, which may be faulty, that this is the same amount as past years, but I just wanted to make sure that the scope, it looks like the scope is the same, but my memory is not that detailed. So
No, I am not aware of any changes that were made to the MOU. It is the same amount. And I believe it's the same partnership that we had made some changes a couple of years ago. And again, to my knowledge, we did not make any changes to the previous agreement.
okay.
Thank you. Ms. Martin, do you have anything to add?
No, it was just to kind of give the input on, I started midway through this past year. So we already kind of have a running list of people who have inquired. I think the money will easily fly through it this upcoming year. I think it's getting the word out a lot easier. It's been pretty great to manage. So I think the money will be very easily dispersed this upcoming year.
Thank you.
Martha Miller.
I have a question,
Yes.
if I might. Ms. Martin, maybe you can answer this question for me. So looking at the, you all did a great job of listing out, who applied and the totals, right? So it says 2022 payout, $24,000, account balance 26,967, and then there's a section underneath. So that work has been done in that section underneath, but not been paid out. But then the total comes to more than the 35,000, but there's apparently still a carryover from previous years. So it looks like what you're saying here is that once you pay out from the end of 2022, projects that were done late in the year that haven't been paid out, that'll be paid out in 2023, that there's still going to be a $9,000 balance. And then this 35,000 will roll into that balance, and ostensibly 44,000 is available. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. And thank you for navigating that. I know it was a little difficult, but this was my first time putting together the report for it. And I'm excited to work with you guys in the future to figure out what information you want from me, what is best, what's good moving forward. But yes, the 2021s were applications that happened in 2021, but got a 2022 payout. So I did their checkout, I confirmed them, but this was an agreement that was made prior to me. The 2022 people are the people who completed and applied the same year, got their payout, and then the extended, so that third section at the bottom, they are allocated. So those are people who are working on their project, that I have gone out to their farms, I've gone to their sites, we've done site visits, they just needed an extension. Some people had contractors that postponed on them. I tell everyone who applies, I'd like for you to get it done in the year. So there is that 2-year allowance period. So that way that next timeline is us getting it tied up. So yes, all of that money in the third section is already accounted for and allocated. So then that allows us the $9,000 carryover, for me to still find. And I have inquiries for people, but people have not completed the application. So there's well over $9,000 of people who are interested right now.
Okay, and I think we do address that as item number 2 under timing and reporting, that if there are funds left over, that these both boards are to get together to look over the numbers to make sure either it's carried over or it's lowered for the next year. I'm assuming that that discussion took place between Soil and Water and Kelsey, determined to go ahead and carry over those funds because they would be needed.
Right. I think that change was last year or the year before, so it was just recent, which I think is great. And Ms. Martin, I guess I want to give you the opportunity to go ahead and let the public know how they could go through this program and apply. So if you have the ability to plug your website or such.
Oh, absolutely. I apologize. I'm at home with a child with the stomach flu, so I'm paying attention elsewhere. But yeah, no, I would love to help promote it. I'd love to put our website out there. I tell anyone who's interested in applying, you go to the Monroe County website, the county website, and you can even search Stormwater Partnership Grant in that search bar, and it pops up the form. So it's already linked onto the Soil and Water tab under the county website. And then, yeah, I'd love to get together in the future and kind of figure out how we can better promote it too on our end and wherever else. if that answered your question.
It sure did, and I'm sure it comes a bit clearer over Zoom. So thank you so much.
Any further comment? Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none.
I would like to add one more thing. I did link my email in there, so if you guys need to look for any more pictures, or if you want any other information from me, my email is linked in with the pictures we attached in the report. Thank you. That's all. I'm done.
Thank you.
I do want to state Martha Miller has been trying to get into the meeting and has been unable to. So I don't know if that's on our end or her end.
She had her hand up earlier.
It says she's public.
Pats, do you have the ability of bringing her on?
She just went off.
Oh.
Just moved to panelist.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
There she is. She was a panelist now.
I didn't see her.
TSD, could you go back to panelist? And allow Martha Miller.
Oh, yes. Ms. Miller, do you have anything to add? Well,
I'm assuming we can go forward, that she could hear that that the board didn't have any issues with the renewal of the agreement. I hope that's okay, Martha.
Oh, I guess we do public. I'm ready to make a motion whenever time calls.
yes, it's time for public comment.
I apologize for the delay in asking this question. But so I just want to understand, like, this is an actual, this item is not just about approving the amounts at the bottom, but is it about approving the agreement as well? Because it's the memorandum of understanding.
So we have a partnership with SWCD and we allocate a lump sum and then they administrate the grant program. So we don't individually approve each application. We approve a lump sum and then they distribute that kind of through whoever applies for the grant.
Okay, I was just asking because I was noticing some of the things that are covered or not covered and having to provide proof of labor and materials and things like that. And I wondered if the grant also includes like fees for application, like to planning and like for a grading permit. Obviously, grading is involved here because I see pictures of previous projects and ditches and so forth. So I just would want that clarification as to what it included.
I think
Or
Martha's
did not
on.
include.
If Ms. Miller is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Did she hear her question? Martha, did you hear Tamby's question?
I did not.
So her question was if fees such as grading permits are included into these grant applications as a cost.
Grading permits,
Correct.
they can be part of a project, yes.
I'd like to add that we take any application and we present it to our board of supervisors where they help with the agreement and the terms of the grant.
Yeah,
So
so-
if there's anything with the fuzzy lines, we have them have the final say.
Yeah, so let me clarify a few things just to help out here. And I do apologize. I'm working off personal equipment and my own equipment and old equipment and trying to get it all going here. So the $9,000 that's a carryover, that's very typical. We actually have less this year than we do. I don't actually think it's quite $9,000. I need to look back at that report. But Kelsey and I did talk about it. We have actually expended more this year than ever before. We have a pretty good system going now that we have Hannah in place. And she's able to go out and check these a lot closer. So we are starting to get the word out there. One of the big issues that we've always had with this particular program is my fear of promoting it too heavily because I was not able to be able to do it completely and my full-time job at a major expanse. So getting the grant, hiring Hannah has allowed us the ability to feel a little more confident with being able to go out and, you know, let people know that this is actually an availability to them. One thing that did cross my mind as the lady was talking about the issue with Clear Creek, that actually is falling into the Lower Salt Creek Watershed Project. So that may be another source of funding. So Tron, just keep me in the loop on that as you guys deal with that, and we'll see what we can do to help out with that from that standpoint as well. So, but yes, Kelsey and I had discussed the $9,000 and the rollover. I'm very confident we'll be able to use it all this coming year. We've always had funds that are encumbered from year to year. So the MOU states that it's a 2-year MOU from the time that they actually sign the agreement. They have actually 2 years to finish. We altered that last year. So those encumbered funds are covering those people who signed up in 2022, but won't get paid until 2023 out of 2022 funding.
I would like to add just one additional comment, and it's within the agreement. Article 2, conditions and agreements, 11, all partnership grant projects are required to have some form of landholder buy-in at a minimum of 25%.
Yes,
So-
absolutely.
Right, and I think that is more focused on Tamby's question, that I think that this helps supplement the cost of these projects. So
Yes.
to your question about covering permits and things, I don't think we get that granular on the grant opportunities that SWC gives out to the community with kind of the partnership that us here at the Stormwater Management Board allocate those funds. So I just wanted to indicate that there is some skin in the game from the landowner as well, or landholder. So
Thank you, Tron. That's actually very critical to any sort of cost share that the Soil and Water District does. It doesn't matter where our funding pool is coming from. Anytime we're doing a project, we require that the landowner have some buy-in to the project. That's just part of the way we do everything here. I also wanted to let the Stormwater Board know that one of Hannah's other duties is that she actually now does stormwater plan reviews. So she's actually reviewing both county plans, city plans, IU plans, Ivy Tech plans. Any MS4 cannot self review. And so the state statute or the state code or whatever it is that IDEM has says that falls back to the Soil and Water District. That's an area where we unfortunately have not been able to do anything up until hiring Hannah because I did not have the time. And so we just wrote a no review letter, but Hannah is already gotten some training and is getting some more from IDEM specifically to do stormwater reviews. So.
Thank you. Any further comments? And I think we're done with public comments. So all in favor of the 2023 MOU with Monroe County Solid Waste Conservation, Soil and Water Conservation District for Stormwater Grants Program. Please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And now we have the Stormwater Expenditure Report for December 2022.
So yes, I don't think you'll see anything that's a surprise here. The fleet maintenance was a little bit up, a little over 12,000. I believe that was for tires. And finishing out the year for some of those additional expenses. Our on-call contract services with IU work study. The remote monitoring, the hosting and the cell data, we're still working out some issues with that equipment that we've been having some issues with. Our disposal fees from street sweeping, our general engineering services, that was for State Road 45, Hines Road, Birch Road, from an agreement you guys had approved, the board had approved in the past. Still working a little bit on the stormwater ordinance was the other professional fees with Christopher Burke. We did have a really good contractors workshop back in November. Went very well. So that was the workshop lunch that you see as the cost for that. Gas, oil, and lube. Of course, fuel had gone up this year. Drug testing is drug testing for the CDL driver license holders. They draw them at random. And then the Lake Monroe water quality for the MOU for the watershed that was previously approved. The Baby Creek Stormwater Project and the Stip Road Project. So if you have any questions on the expenditure report for the end of the year, I hope I can answer them.
Seeing no questions, we can now move on to staff reports.
I do want to introduce Forrest that is back with us. He gladly came back as one of our interns for this semester. So we're glad to have him back. They do great work for our stormwater division, great assistance. And it's a great program that's worked out really well for stormwater for many years. Adam, did you have anything to add you want to add? I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay. That's pretty much it.
All right, welcome back, Boris.
I was curious if maybe we could put Forrest on the spot for a quick second, and if you would like to come to the podium and just introduce yourself. And I don't think I have had the pleasure to work with you too closely, so thanks for coming back to the county and giving us your expertise.
Cool. Thank you for having me. So like Lisa said, I'm a fellow and intern with the stormwater department. I did my undergraduate at IU, worked with Penny there a little bit, taught English in Spain for a couple of years, and then I decided to come back, get my master's in public affairs and environmental science over at SPIA, or O'Neill, I guess they're calling it now. I'm studying energy, but I've learned a lot about stormwater, and I think the two are kind of closely related, and I'm learning more every day and contributing any way I can. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
No questions. Thanks. I'll just say if you ever want to reach out to the Monroe County Surveyor's Office, please feel free to, as you'll find out, we're always there to provide any service or help that we can.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And if there's nothing else, the date of our next meeting is Wednesday, February 8th, 2023 at 3 p.m. in this room, the Nat U Hill room. And our meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.